So people often ask me how I know so much about, social media marketing, content creation, personal branding, and online business. And to be honest, I wish I had this extraordinary answer for how I acquired all of this information. But the truth of the matter is that I just learnt this stuff over time. So what I actually wanted to do for this particular video today was to give you some ideas and some strategies on how you can learn more effectively and become smarter in your subject matter. Just a little bit of a background into my own journey is that when I was in school, I actually, really struggled with classwork. I really struggled with exams, and I always felt like I was really unintelligent. But as I kind of grew older and I started to learn different strategies and different techniques, I went from being a really, really bad student to when I was in uni, I was actually in the top 15%, and I've gone on to start a six-figure business. So I just share this little piece of information with you, just so you know that no matter what position you are in now with your intelligence or how you feel about yourself and your ability to learn, then you absolutely can change that. All you need is some different strategies, some new techniques, and you will be absolutely on your way to learning more effectively. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. I also wanted to say a huge thank you to the Great Courses Plus for sponsoring and collaborating with me on this video. I love the Great Courses Plus so much. It's an incredible online platform with some epic online courses. And in a little while, I am going to be talking to you about how you can start your free trial today so you can start learning from their amazing collection of courses. If you liked the video, I would very much appreciate it if you gave it a big thumbs up. And of course, if you are new here, then consider subscribing. So my first tip for how you can learn more effectively is that you need to get your body involved. And I know that sounds really weird because you're probably thinking, well, I'm thinking about learning. Isn't it more about your brain and your mind? And yes, you are correct, but your physiology also has a lot to do with how well you are able to retain and recall information. So I'm sure you've heard of the term brain fog before. Well, brain fog is something that reduces your ability to learn effectively, but it can be cured with cardiovascular activity. So cardio is really, really great for cognitive acuity, so how well you can focus, how sharp you are. And if you are starting your day with exercise and cardio exercise in particular, you're going to be able to learn a lot more effectively throughout the day. So what this actually looks like for me is I love to go for runs, whether it be outside or in the gym. I just do a little 5K and then I find I'm so much sharper throughout the day. But also, if you maybe don't love to run or you don't love to do cardio in the morning, what I actually find is that when you are trying to learn things, whether it is from a course or a book, get the audio version of that and consume the information while you actually are out walking. So sometimes I listen to the Great Courses Plus courses just while I'm out walking my dog Harvey, and I find that's a really great way for me to learn in that active state. It's also something that Tony Robbins talks about a lot, how we should be learning actively instead of passively, which is how most of us are learning, sitting down, slogging at our desks. So give the physiology a try. I promise it will help you to be sharper and learn more effectively. My next piece of advice is that you want to teach other people the things that you are learning. So I did a lot of research into this, and there were some amazing studies that showed that students who had the expectation that they needed to teach the information that they were learning to other people performed a lot better and were able to recall the facts a lot more fluidly than those who just thought they were going to have to take a test. And I've actually left an article down below if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that study. But I find that when you actually need to teach people the things that you are learning, or when you actively get out there and teach people, the information is just becomes so much clearer to you. Now for me, what I actually do is when I am learning things, so for example from courses, I will use my platform and my community as the people that I do teach. For example, I am currently taking the art of storytelling, or I actually just finished it, the art of storytelling on the Great Courses Plus, and I've been getting on and sharing some of that information on my Instagram stories. One of the stories that I just did was all about something in the course that talked about how you can channel your anxiety and the fear and the nerves that you get when you are public speaking into that nervous energy, which comes into active energy, which gives you a better performance. That's something that I spoke about on my Instagram. And whenever I am learning things from courses, I'll make a video about it, a podcast about it, giving my perspective and what I've learned. Now, if you don't have an audience, that's absolutely fine. You can just do this by teaching your friends or your family or your loved one. But even just having that expectation that you need to teach people is going to help you recall the information a lot better. reader. Now, my next piece of advice, it actually just refers to learning from books. So you know that I love to learn from books. Books are such a great resource, nonfiction books in particular. But I actually used to be a terrible reader. Along with being a terrible learner, I was a terrible reader. Up until the age of 22, I'd only read 2 books, which was Looking for Ella Brandy and Scar Tissue. But since then, I've gone on to read hundreds of books, and so much of the content that I get is from books. Being not such a great reader, to get the information that I need out of the books, something that I do is that I actually read a summary of the books and the main points before I actually read the book. And there's no scientific studies behind this. This is something that I just personally use that I wanted to share with you. But knowing the main points before I actually read helps me to grasp those main points in context to the bigger picture of what the book is actually about. And then when I go off and read those points, because it is the second time that I'm actually understanding them, it helps cement those a lot easier in my mind. So give this a try yourself. It might not work for you. That's absolutely fine. But go out and read a summary or even a review on the book where someone maybe has shared their thoughts on it. And then when you actually are reading the book, those main points are just going to be crystallized a lot more for you. Now, my third piece of advice, and this is not going to be a new tip, but I had to put it in here because it's something that I accredit so much of my success in learning to, and that is taking notes. Not just taking notes twice. So something that I actually do when I am learning from courses in particular is I will write down absolutely everything that I think that I'm going to need to use. And then what I do is actually go back and review all of those notes, but cut out all of the fluff that maybe isn't going to be so relevant to me and just write it out neater. And what this actually does is to help cement the information, because they do say that repetition is the mother of all skill. So once you've actually written those notes out for the second time, the information is actually passing through you for the third time. You know, when you're first taking on that information, first writing it down and then writing it down a second time. So actually just taking the time to go back and rewrite those notes, it's just like studying the information again, and it's just going to make you be able to recall it a lot better. I know that does take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but then you've got to ask yourself, is it worth learning this information? And usually the answer is going to be yes. And my next tip then is to know your learning style. So each of us individual, unique human beings learn in a different way. And I always talk about self-awareness and how we should know ourselves and play to our skills. Well, it's absolutely no different when it comes to your learning. So there are a few different learning styles, you know, kinesthetic, which is doing things, auditory, which is listening, visual, which is visual, looking at pictures and watching videos and things like that, and then there's read-write, which as it sounds is reading and writing. Whichever learning style feels more comfortable to you is going to be the one that helps you to retain the information better. So for me in particular, I am an auditory learner. I learn so much more effectively by listening to things because I'm able to listen and visualize the information. So what I actually do, what I love to do, is to listen to audio courses. So it's great because the Great Courses Plus not only has the amazing lectures and the video feature, but that you can also switch between that video straight into audio. So when I need to learn some information, or maybe some of it's a little bit harder to grasp, then I switch into that audio feature and it's just a lot easier for me to retain that information. But there's so many different ways that you can learn what type of learner you are. There are some great online tests that you can do, but my personal advice is that I think that you should experiment with the different learning styles and just see which one feels more comfortable to you. I think we can very easily be persuaded sometimes when we are taking tests, but the best way is to just experiment and figure out which of the learning styles is most effective for you, and then stick with that for learning things in the future. So just before I summarize the tips that I've spoken about here today, I did want to take a second to say a massive thank you to the Great Courses Plus. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know how obsessed I am with those courses. I just finished The Art of Storytelling, which, as I said, is an amazing course, but I do give you the recommendation that if you take that course, please have a box of tissues, because there are some tear-jerking stories in that course, but anyway, that's beside the point. The Great Courses Plus is an amazing platform with on-demand courses, and as I said, you can either watch in video, and you can watch on your iPad, laptop, phone, TV, but they also, you know, you're able to switch with those audio courses as well, which is great for us auditory learners. So the Great Courses Plus have been kind enough to offer all of the community a free trial. So if you just go to thegreatcoursesplus.com/Erin Henry, then you can sign up for your free trial and get learning with with some amazing courses. And honestly, there's so many different types of courses. I have just finished that art of storytelling. I'm gonna do a wine course after that, and then I'm doing one on dog training. So literally anything you can think of under the sun. So just to summarize the points that we have spoken about here today. So the first thing is to get your body involved. You know, physiology has a lot to do with your ability to learn. And if you find yourself, you know, not able to really retain information due to brain fog, then maybe you need to get up and move your body, and cardio is a really great way to do that. Also, giving yourself the expectation to teach people. It doesn't necessarily need to be an online community, it can just be people in your personal life, but teaching people the things that you know is a great way to learn them more effectively. Read summaries of books before you actually read the book itself. When you know those main points and how they fit in with the bigger picture of the book, then it's a lot easier to pull out that information when you are reading. Also, make sure that you are taking notes, but to effectively take notes and get the most of your note taking, double those notes. Write it out when you are learning the information, and then go back and review those notes. Cut out anything that you don't necessarily need for yourself and write it out neater. That double handling of the notes is going to help you to retain the information a lot better. And finally, know your learning style. We all learn differently, and that's absolutely fine. It's not about learning the same way as people you follow or your friends. It's about figuring out what works for you most effectively and sticking with that. So those are my tips on how you can learn more effectively and become smarter. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to check out the Great Courses Plus and start with some of their amazing courses. And I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Wasn't one of the... So I just wanted to... So just before I summarize the tips, I did want to give... So just before I... You need a little chair out there. Where's that rolly chair?
Yeah.
Because what if it like... Cameraman comfort.
That's right, yeah.
I love that like people just don't know. Like they see me looking all nice here, and the fact that like what's behind the camera is you sitting on a rolly chair in front of the toilet.
Half naked.
Half naked.
No one wants to see that, do they?
I do.